You are one decision away from a richer life. This is a call to personal power, rooted in Hill's belief that success begins with a definite decision backed by unwavering desire. There comes a moment in every life when the soul whispers a truth so undeniable, so powerful, that if you dare to listen, your entire existence can change. That moment isn't loud. It's not surrounded by applause or lit up by a spotlight. It doesn't arrive with permission or wait until you're ready. It comes quietly, maybe in the middle of the night when your doubts feel like thunder, maybe in the silence after another defeat, maybe right after everyone else has walked away. But it speaks. And what it says is simple. You are one decision away, one choice, one bold act of faith, one moment of unwavering courage, one step that separates the life you have from the life you were born to live. It is not destiny, it is not luck, it is not privilege, it is the power of will, the power to decide. Every titan of industry, every giant of history, every name we remember, they stood where you stand now, uncertain, afraid, overwhelmed, but they made the decision anyway. Edison failed over 10,000 times before he gave the world light. Carnegie rose from poverty and built an empire. Lincoln suffered loss after loss, but still carried the weight of a fractured nation. Ford defied the limitations of his time and redefined transportation. Disney was fired for lacking imagination before he built the most imaginative empire the world had ever seen. None of them were guaranteed success, but each made a decision. I will not quit, I will not shrink, I will not settle. And neither will you. Because the richer life, not just in money, but in meaning, in power, in joy, is not found. It is forged in the furnace of decision, molded in the fire of belief. So if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. If you've been waiting for the right time, it's now. You are one decision away. Mindset, the root of all riches. The world will tell you success is a strategy, that you need a perfect plan, the right timing, the ideal environment. But the truth? Success begins in the mind, always, without exception. Your mindset is the lens through which you see the world, and more importantly, how you see yourself. It is the soil in which every decision is planted. If the soil is poisoned with doubt, fear, and limitation, nothing great can grow. But if it's fed with belief, purpose, and clarity, it becomes the foundation of greatness. Napoleon Hill said it best, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Not wish, not hope, believe. And belief begins with a decision to trust in something greater than what your current circumstances are telling you. Most people live their lives reacting to what's around them instead of choosing what's within them. They let failure define them. They let their past write the next chapter. They forget they are the author. But you remember now. The richest minds don't operate from what is. They operate from what can be. You must protect your mind like your future depends on it, because it does. That means silencing the voices that sow doubt. That means choosing thoughts aligned with vision, not fear. That means deciding again and again to believe in the unseen until it becomes the seen. That is the root of all transformation, not in the bank account, not in the network, in the mind. And when the mind is aligned, the world bends to match it. Belief, the inner gold. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly believed in yourself? Not superficially, not because someone told you you were good, but because deep down in the quiet corners of your soul, you knew you were born to do something great. That's belief. Belief is not arrogance, it's not noise, it's not bravado, it's conviction, it's certainty. It's the deep knowing that your life has value, that your potential is limitless, that the universe responds to the level of faith you operate on. Understand this. The most valuable resource on earth isn't oil, it's not gold, it's not data. It's belief. Because belief turns vision into reality. Belief is the switch that activates the machinery of your life. When belief is absent, you will sabotage every opportunity. You will play small. You will self-destruct before you even begin. But when belief is present, the world opens. Not because it changed, but because you did. Walt Disney believed when no one else would fund him. He borrowed against his life. He mortgaged his future. He didn't need 100 people to say yes. He needed one himself. You are the first yes. You are the most important yes. And you must choose it every single day. There will be moments when doubt will scream louder than hope, when failure will feel final, when fear will grip your throat and tell you to stay small. But belief does not negotiate with fear. It commands, it declares, it builds, it leads. You are not here to crawl. You are not here to hide. You are not here to shrink into someone else's definition of what's possible. You are here to rise, one belief at a time. Clarity, the torch in the dark. The reason so many people wander through life lost, anxious, and unfulfilled isn't because they lack potential, it's because they lack clarity. Clarity is the torch that lights your path in the dark. It doesn't reveal the entire journey, but it gives you enough to take the next step with confidence. Without clarity, energy is wasted. You run in circles. You chase illusions. You confuse motion with progress. But with clarity, everything changes. Suddenly, you know what to say yes to and what to say no to. You stop scattering your efforts across 1,000 meaningless tasks and start channeling your energy towards something that matters. Think of a magnifying glass. On its own, it does nothing. But when focused on a single point, it channels the power of the sun into fire. Clarity is focus. Clarity is fire. Carnegie had clarity. His mission was to master steel and give it back to the people. Ford had clarity. He saw a car in every driveway. Hill had clarity to uncover the laws of success and teach them to the world. They didn't stumble into greatness. They chose it. And they chose it because they saw it first in their minds, with crystal clarity. So what do you see? When you close your eyes, what does your richer life look like? Is it freedom, impact, mastery, legacy? Define it, write it down, speak it aloud, burn it into your spirit so deeply that the world cannot convince you otherwise. Because clarity cuts through chaos. It silences the noise. It makes decision easy. And decision, remember, is what changes your life. Vision, the life you haven't met yet. Vision is your soul's blueprint. It is the life you haven't met yet, pulling you forward, whispering, "Come find me." It is not born from comfort. It is born from hunger. And the bigger the vision, the more it demands from you, more courage, more discipline, more sacrifice. But it gives back tenfold. Vision is what makes pain meaningful. It turns setbacks into stepping stones. It gives the struggle a purpose. A person without vision is a leaf in the wind. A person with vision is a storm. You must become the storm. Not chaotic, not reckless, but powerful. Directed, intentional. Every great empire began as a vision. Every revolution, every innovation, every story that changed the world started with someone seeing something no one else could and refusing to let it go. You must see it so vividly that it feels inevitable, so clearly that you cannot be talked out of it, so passionately that it pulls you through every fire. You don't need permission to dream bigger, you need decision. And that decision must be made now, not when you're ready, not when it's easy, not when you feel like it. Now, because the richer life is not something you wait for. It's something you build one decision at a time. The power of a definite decision. Explore how one clear, unwavering decision can shift the entire direction of your life, and why every successful journey begins with that choice. There comes a moment in every life when the weight of possibility presses against your chest, when the whisper of doubt and the roar of ambition clash in your mind like thunder and lightning. In that split second, you stand at a crossroads, teetering between hesitation and resolve. And in that gap, everything changes. For it is not talent that shapes destiny, nor luck, nor circumstance. It is the power of a single, definite decision. Imagine Thomas Edison hunched over his workbench in Menlo Park, the night around him thick with failure and the scent of sulfur. 1,000 times he watched filaments burn out, only to rise at dawn with new conviction. Each moment of despair he met with a choice, to give up or to press on. He chose to press on, and in that choice he lit a world. This is the secret. Clarity of purpose is born when you decide without wavering that there is no turning back. And so we begin with mindset, the invisible architecture of every success story ever written. Your mind is the stage upon which belief and doubt perform. Left unattended, it will replay every fear you've ever known. What if you fail? What if you're not enough? What if the world laughs at your dreams? But you are not a passive witness. You are the director. Today you claim the leading role. You train your thoughts as an artist masters brushstrokes. You align each idea with your highest vision. You no longer feed the doubt, you starve it of your attention. For every fiber of your being must vibrate with the sound of "I will," until that vibration becomes reality. Belief is the force that propels thought into existence. Andrew Carnegie once said, "Both poverty and riches are the offspring of thought." He recognized that the mind, like fertile soil, yields the harvest you plant. Plant faith, and you will reap courage. Plant vision, and you will reap creation. Plant gratitude, and you will reap abundance. In the space between thought and reality, belief builds a bridge. You must walk onto that bridge every morning with unwavering conviction that what you imagine can be made real. Burning desire is the fuel of success. Highlight the role of intense, unshakable desire in keeping momentum, overcoming obstacles, and transforming goals into reality. The heart of every triumph beats with a single, relentless, flamia burning desire that refuses to be extinguished by doubt or defeat. In the stillness before dawn, when the world sleeps and your mind stirs with restless ambition, you feel that fire crackling beneath the surface. It is your call to arms, an unspoken promise that whispers, "I will rise, I will conquer, I will become more." This is no fleeting spark. This is the volcanic core of your destiny, forged in the crucible of intention and stoked by the unwavering conviction that no obstacle can withstand. Consider the man who lit the night itself, Thomas Edison. In the smoky glow of Menlo Park's laboratory, he stood surrounded by broken filaments, each failure a dagger to the heart. Yet in his chest burned an inferno stronger than any setback, the certainty that light would bend to his will. Night after endless night, he fed that flame with experiments and calculations, until at last the darkness yielded, and the world was forced to reckon with his vision. His desire to illuminate the night became the beacon for all who would follow. Desire is not a passive wish, but an active force that reshapes reality. That force begins in the crucible of your mind. Mindset is the ember bed on which desire ignites. If you allow your thoughts to drift like embers in the wind, they scatter and die. But if you cradle them with discipline, they coalesce into a furnace of purpose. You are the keeper of this flame. Each thought you entertain is fuel poured onto the blaze. Doubt smothers it, gratitude fortifies it. Choose your thoughts as you would choose wood for a firedry, strong and capable of sustaining a long burn. Let your mind rehearse the taste of victory, the touch of triumph, the echo of your own legacy, until those visions become hotter than any fear. Belief fans the flames. Andrew Carnegie understood that wealth of the pocket, or the spirit, is born in the workshop of the mind. He taught that thoughts coupled with faith breed power. Without belief, desire flickers like a candle in a gale. With belief, it becomes a bonfire that no storm can douse. Imagine standing atop a mountain of potential, the air thin and your goal before you. Doubt will whisper that the climb is impossible. But belief lashes your ears like wind, shouting that every step is possible, every summit within reach. You step forward, and the mountain trembles. Now step into clarity. Clarity is the sword that cuts through confusion. It sharpens purpose and aligns every action with your highest good. Picture Henry Ford surveying the silent lot, where his first automobile would roll metal, rubber, and steam yet to meet. His clarity was absolute. Cars for the masses, freedom on four wheels. That vision was not a vague dream. It was a precise blueprint. So too must your vision be detailed. You see not only the mountaintop, but the pathivary turn, every rocky ledge, every breath of wind. You describe your goal as Edison described the light bulb, a practical device to illuminate the night. Your words must carry that specificity, burning brighter than any candle of doubt. Vision is the lantern in the darkness, guiding you when storms threaten to obscure your course. Walt Disney carried his vision like a compass, sketching characters on scraps of paper between railroad rides. believing that laughter and imagination could reshape culture. When financiers balked, when setbacks threatened to derail him, he never lost sight of his dream. He had etched it into the core of his soul. And so you must etch yours. In your journal, on your mirror, whispered in the quiet hours before dawn, until the moment arrives when you step into action, guided by that lantern and buoyed by your certainty. Purpose gives vision its heartbeat. Purpose is the reason you rise when the world would have you stay down. Purpose is the echo of your deepest values. Ask yourself, why do I pursue this? What legacy do I wish to leave? When Abraham Lincoln wrestled with war and the fabric of a nation hung in the balance, his purpose was the preservation of the Union and the promise of freedom. That purpose sustained him through sleepless nights, through tears, through fear. Your purpose must be no less compelling. It must stir your blood, quicken your pulse, and make every sacrifice seem inconsequential compared to the prize. Discipline transforms purpose into habit. Discipline is the daily commitment-excellent, unglamorous, relentless. It is the early alarm before sunrise, the extra mile when your muscles burn, the refusal to yield to the siren song of comfort. Imagine Carnegie in the steel mills, day after day forging his fortune with sweat and iron will. Each bolt of steel whispered a lesson. Greatness demands consistent effort, so claim discipline as your ally. It will carry you through days when motivation deserts you, when enthusiasm fades like a spent firework. Discipline is the ember that never dies. Action is the thunderclap that shakes the world. Napoleon Hill himself wrote, "1,000 thoughts accepted and unorganized have no more power than a grain of sand in the hand of a miser." Action organizes thought into movement. You must leap from planning into doing. Let your mistakes be your teachers, not your jailers. Every stumble brings you closer to mastery. Every setback is a teacher in disguise. Ford's assembly line was born from a desire to correct inefficiency. Disney's theme parks from a desire to bring fantasy into three-dimensional life. They acted. Today, you act. Cultivate gratitude as the oil to your engine. In the glare of pursuit, it's easy to overlook what you already possess. Yet gratitude transforms scarcity into abundance. It magnetizes opportunity, strengthens resolve, and reminds you why you began. When you rise each morning and name 3 blessings: your breath, your purpose, the people who believe in you, you prime your mind for success. Adaptability is your shield against a changing world. In the moment Edison's bulb flickered before victory, he didn't cry, "Why me?" he asked. "What can I learn?" He re-engineered, retried, redefined. In the face of rapid technological upheaval today, in the swirl of global shifts, you too must pivot, evolve, and innovate. Resilience is the steel within your spine. In the darkest hour, when every light seems snuffed, resilience whispers, "You are stronger than this moment." It carries you through heartbreak, through loss, through the valley of shadows. Lincoln's resilience was tested in recessions and rejections, yet he bore the weight of a fractured nation until it found its path to unity. Learning fuels your growth. No mountain is summited without new knowledge at every step. Read the biographies of those who triumphed: Carnegie, Edison, Disney, Ford, Lincoln. Digest their failures as fuel. Seek mentors. Devour books. Question assumptions. Knowledge is the flint that sparks innovation. You stand now on the threshold of decision. The air around you crackles with destiny. Inhale deeply. Feel the pulse of possibility. A definite decision is not a whisper of might, it is a roar of will. It is a covenant you make with yourself. I choose today. I choose my path. I choose to transform. That decision ripples outward, shaping your thoughts, guiding your actions, forging your future. And so you step forward, heart blazing with purpose, mind sharpened by clarity, spirit armored in resilience. The road will twist, storms will batter, doubt will beckon. But in the marrow of your bones lies the truth. You are one definite decision away from everything you've ever dreamed. Let this truth echo in your soul. Let it drive your every breath. For once made, that decision becomes your destiny. When you decide, the universe conspires. Light your spark. Ignite your world. Clarity shapes the fire's direction. It is not enough to burn. You must burn with purpose. Henry Ford did not simply want to build cars, wanted to free humanity from the tyranny of distance. His vision was precise: affordable, reliable vehicles rolling off assembly lines like soldiers on parade. That vision carved his desire into a spear aimed straight at the heart of innovation. So too must you sharpen your aim. Describe your goal in vivid detail: the sights, the sounds, the milestones you will cross. In that clarity, your burning desire becomes a guided missile, homing in on success with unerring accuracy. Vision is the flame's light, piercing the darkness of uncertainty. Walt Disney carried his vision as a compass through bankruptcies and betrayals. He sketched characters on the back of napkins, dreaming of kingdoms where laughter reigned supreme. When financiers turned away, his desire burned brighter, fueled by the image of children's eyes alight with wonder. Your vision must hold equal weight. Let it glow in your mind's eye, in the quiet moments: the life you build, the people you inspire, the legacy that outlives you. That vision pulls you forward, a magnetic glow guiding each step. Purpose is the torch's handle, grounding the flame in your hands. Purpose anchors desire in meaning. Abraham Lincoln's purpose was not merely to govern, but to heal a wounded nation and secure freedom's promise. That purpose carried him through sorrow and ridicule, through nights of anguish when the weight of war pressed upon his shoulders. Your purpose must be your North Star, the reason you endure discomfort, sacrifice, leisure, and press on when comfort beckons. When purpose and desire merge, they form an unbreakable bond that no trial can sever. Discipline is the steady hand that maintains the flame. It is the rhythm of daily rituals, the cadence of habit that ensures your fire never wanes. Imagine Andrew Carnegie returning day after day to the steel mill, each coil of metal a testament to steadfast dedication. He understood that extraordinary desire demands ordinary sacrifice. You must rise before the world stirs. Anchor yourself in the rituals of growth: reading, writing, moving, planning until discipline becomes instinct and desire flows through your veins like blood. Action is the roaring wildfire that consumes obstacles in its path. Desire dormant is dust. Desire unleashed is hurricanes. Napoleon Hill himself taught that faith without works is dead. Plans alone are blueprints gathering cobwebs. You must strike the match and throw it into the tinder of preparation. Every choice, every step, every effort fans the flame wider. When Edison fired his first successful bulb, he didn't stand reverently charged forward, refining it, illuminating more homes, lighting more streets. Your first success is not a resting place, but a launch pad. Ignite again and again until your flame becomes a conflagration that transforms every corner of your world. Gratitude is the gentle rain that nourishes your fire. It may seem paradoxical, but when you pause to give thanks for what you have, your desire intensifies rather than diminishes. Gratitude grounds ambition in humility, reminding you that the journey is not a void, but a continuum built on gifts and lessons. Each morning, whisper gratitude for the opportunity to pursue your dream, for the obstacles that sharpen your will, for the people who fan your flame. That humility draws new fuel into your blaze: opportunities, connections, insights that would remain invisible to pride. Adaptability is the fuel supply's resilience. In a world shifting like sand, rigid fires die when the wind changes. Edison's quest for the incandescent bulb demanded he pivot repeatedly: carbon filaments, metal coatings, vacuum pressures, until he found the perfect mix. Each adaptation was not a retreat, but a strategic advance. You must remain flexible, adjusting your tactics without dimming your desire. When a path closes, see it not as an end, but as a diversion toward a richer trail. Bend with the winds of change, but let your flame burn on. Resilience is the flame's armor. It shields against the gusts of failure. It whispers in your dark hours, "Rise again." Lincoln, sculpted by loss and betrayal, bore his burdens like armor plating. Each wound deepened his resolve. Each setback fortified him. Your resilience is built in adversity. When you stumble, gather the broken embers of your desire, rebuild your fire, and rise with greater intensity. Let every defeat carve new channels for your flame so it blazes higher and brighter. Learning is the alchemist's secret, turning the ashes of failure into gold. Edison embraced each filament's demise as a lesson in chemistry and physics. He logged failures meticulously, extracting data points that led him closer to success. Your own failures are disclosures, revealing what works and what doesn't. Study them, seek mentors, read voraciously, pore over biographies of Carnegie, Ford, Disney, Lincoln. Absorb their mistakes as blueprints for your own breakthroughs. Learning ensures your flame never burns blind, but illuminates the path forward. Now, feel the fire in your chest, that burning desire, unstoppable and pure. It roars with the intensity of 1,000 suns, demanding that you choose. Will you be content with flickers in the night, or will you become the blaze that reshapes the horizon? The moment of decision crackles around you. Take a breath and fan the embers. Speak the words that will set your life alight. I will pursue my purpose with unyielding desire. I will adapt, I will act, I will endure. My flame will burn until I stand victorious. In that proclamation, your destiny is forged. Your desire, once a spark, becomes the inferno that guides your every thought, your every step, your every breath. This is your revolution, a firestorm of purpose, vision, and unbreakable will. Let it consume doubt, incinerate fear, and light your path to greatness. For in the end, it is not the world that drives you, but the burning desire with inner force, more powerful than any obstacle, more luminous than any midnight, and more eternal than any shadow. And so the fire within continues to roar, carrying you into the uncharted territories of your potential. Personal responsibility and inner power. Highlight the role of intense, unshakable desire in keeping momentum, overcoming obstacles, and transforming goals into reality. The moment your eyes open each morning, the world whispers its expectations. It calls you to look outward at the economy, at the government, at the shifting tides of fortune, and to blame forces you cannot control. But within every human soul resides a deeper voice, the voice of absolute responsibility, the voice that declares, I alone am the master of my fate. Feel that declaration stir in your chest, a thunderbolt of recognition that nothing external can dictate your destiny except by your consent. This is the spark of inner power, the primal roar that says you will seize your life and bend it to your purpose. Mindset is your first battlefield. Like Abraham Lincoln forging unity from chaos, you must carve order from the wilderness of your thoughts. The political storms may rage, the markets may falter, but your mind remains sovereign territory. If you allow doubt, blame, or excuses to stake their claim, you relinquish the throne. Instead, proclaim this truth. My mind is my kingdom, and I govern every thought. Train your consciousness to recognize every negative whisper. I can't. They won't. It's not fair. And answer with the roar of self-reliance. I can. I will. I am responsible. Each time you conquer a limiting thought, you strengthen the citadel of your psyche and lay a new brick in the fortress of your inner power. Belief is the forge in which your mindset is tempered. Andrew Carnegie rose from poverty to build an empire because he believed in his own capacity to learn, to endure, to create wealth. That belief was not idle daydreaming. It was an ironclad vow that banished doubt and demanded action. You too must forge belief as Carnegie did, hammering at it with evidence drawn from every small success, from every challenge overcome, until that belief glows red hot in your chest. When fate throws you to the ground, let your belief lift you higher than before, until the impossible bends like steel under the heat of your conviction. Clarity sharpens your responsibility into purpose. Imagine Henry Ford surveying acres of silent fields, envisioning those rows of steel and rubber that would carry workers to factories and families to freedom. His crystal-clear vision did more than inspire, it guided every decision, from design sketches to assembly line layouts. You must refine your purpose with the same precision. Define not only your destination, but the path that leads there. What legacy will you carve? What problem will you solve? What life will you build? Name it in detail. The feeling pulsing through your veins when you succeed, the faces you uplift, the echo of your impact through generations. Clarity channels your responsibility into a laser beam of focused action. Vision is the lighthouse on the shore of chaos. Walt Disney imagined a world where dreams could be walked through, a place so vivid that laughter would be its soundtrack. When he envisioned Mickey Mouse penciled on a scrap of paper, That vision drew him through bankruptcy and skepticism, guiding him into the hearts of millions. Your vision must burn just as bright an unwavering beacon that calls you out of the fog of excuses. See your life as a moving picture, each scene more vivid than the last, each act swelling with purpose. Let that vision outshine fear, confusion, and distraction until you chase it with the hunger of a lion. Purpose is the engine of self-governance. When Abraham Lincoln stepped before a fractured nation, his purpose was not self-glorification, but the preservation of freedom and justice. That purpose stood taller than his personal struggles, guiding him through tragedies and betrayals until he held the Union together. Your purpose must loom as large in your mind. It must outweigh every comfort you surrender, every late night you endure, every doubt you silence. When you live by purpose, responsibility becomes natural. You no longer wait for permission or circumstances to align because you move forward regardless. Discipline is the faithful steward of your inner power. It is in the earliest alarm, the longest report, the extra rep, the unsung habit that nobody notices but one, you. Carnegie built steel fortunes on the back of daily routines, rising early, reading voraciously, investing eagerly. Edison lit the world through thousands of experiments, each one a product of relentless routine and meticulous record-keeping. You must craft your own rituals of mastery, the moments you dedicate to learning, the commitments you honor without exception, the habits that shape your character. Discipline transforms responsibility into unbreakable momentum. Action is the outward manifestation of every inner vow. Wishes gather dust, plans gather cobwebs. You must leap off the cliff of intention into the chasm of execution. Picture Ford watching the first Model T roll off the line. His hands trembled, not with doubt, but with the exhilaration of manifestation. It is in doing that your responsibility becomes real power. Each task you complete, each risk you embrace, fortifies your belief in yourself. Each failure you face and each lesson you extract welds your resolve stronger. Do not wait for permission or perfect conditions. Strike now, knowing that action begets mastery. Gratitude quiets the siren song of entitlement. It is the anchor that keeps your power from drifting into arrogance. When you acknowledge the abundance already in your life, even amid challenges, you cultivate humility and resilience. Lincoln wrote letters of thanks in the midst of war. Edison celebrated every experiment, whether it glowed or fizzled. In gratitude, you see not only what you lack, but what you possess: time, health, relationships, lessons. That vision of abundance fuels your responsibility, reminding you that every gift carries a duty to grow, to serve, to uplift. Adaptability is the skillful sail that catches changing winds. The external world will never wait for your plan to finish sketching itself. Technology, economies, societies shift like dunes in a desert storm. Edison pivoted between filaments and voltages. Disney evolved from cartoons to parks to franchises. Lincoln adapted strategy as the war dragged on. You too must navigate the rapids of change without capsizing. Let each challenge refine your approach. Bend like bamboo, but stand firm like oak at your core. Resilience is the pole star when storms close the horizon. It is the unwavering beat of your inner drum telling you to rise after every fall. Carnegie's shipwreck in youth nearly killed his ambition, but he emerged more determined. Disney's studio burned, taking dreams with it, yet he rebuilt. Your resilience grows in every trial: heartbreak, rejection, setback. Treat each wound as a teacher, each scar as a medal. In resilience, responsibility becomes triumph over adversity, an anthem of unbreakable will. Learning ignites the engine of sustained power. Edison cataloged failures as data points. Ford studied processes as if engineering time itself. Lincoln consumed books to sharpen his mind. You must become a lifelong student of your own craft and of life itself. Seek mentors, devour biographies, dissect every triumph and every defeat. Knowledge transforms raw desire into strategic power, making your responsibility both informed and fearless. Feel now the pulse of your inner authority, the conviction that every step you take echoes in eternity. You stand not as a victim of circumstance, but as the architect of your world. This dawn, let your first breath be a vow. I embrace full responsibility for my life. I tap into the well of inner power that flows from purpose, discipline, and unyielding action. I will not drift, I will direct. In that vow, your life ignites. The horizon bows before your command. From this moment, you become the living embodiment of personal responsibility and inner power, unstoppable, unshakable, and forever ascending toward your greatest self, a mindset that rejects mediocrity. Dive into the mentality of high achievers who refuse to settle for average and how it all begins with one decision: I will not live an ordinary life. There is a moment in every life when you stand at the edge of complacency, toes hovering over the ledge of good enough, heart pounding with the truth you barely dare whisper. I was not born to play small. In that pulse-quick, electric you confront the great deception, that comfort and avoidance of risk are the hallmarks of wisdom. But deep inside, something stirs, a fierce refusal to settle for a life half-lived, a soul, thunder that demands more. This is the clarion call of a mindset that rejects mediocrity, a fiery covenant that what lies ahead is too vast, too luminous, to be fenced in by average expectations. Your mind is the crucible where this rebellion is born. Mediocrity thrives in unexamined thoughts, the habitual I can't, the quiet acquiescence to doubt. Yet within you lies the power to interrogate every whisper of defeat. Picture Abraham Lincoln, a man beaten by loss and humiliation, standing on the battlefield of his own mind, decreeing that his failures would not define him. He rewrote his story by challenging each self-limiting script. Today, you must do the same. Become the vigilant guardian of your inner dialogue. When excuses rise, you confront them with truth. When fear beckons, you meet it head on. Every thought that mediocrity sows, you uproot in its place. You plant the seeds of unbreakable resolve. Belief is the gasoline poured on that smoldering conviction. Andrew Carnegie, born into humble beginnings, dared to believe he could transcend his station. That belief was not a passive hope, but a roaring decree that wealth both of fortune and of spirit could be created by intention and action. To reject mediocrity, you must forge belief with the same intensity. Stoke it with stories of triumph, fortify it with evidence of every small victory, and feed it with the knowledge that greatness is earned, not bestowed. Let your belief in yourself become a force field that repels every stray arrow of doubt. Clarity is the diamond edge that cuts through the fog of ambiguity. Henry Ford gazed upon fields and factories and saw not steel and sweat, but an entire revolution in motion machines that chattered to life, families liberated from distance, economies humming with invention. His clarity was not vague optimism, it was the GPS coordinates of his destiny. You must draw the map of your own life with equal precision. Define not just the summit you aim for, but the ridges, the foothills, the weather you'll face. When clarity illuminates the path, mediocrity loses. Its grip the path becomes too compelling, too necessary to stray from. Vision is the wildfire that dances beyond the walls of present limitations. Walt Disney sketched the first mouse on a scrap of paper, yet he saw entire kingdoms of imagination rising from those inked lines. He dreamt not of modest amusement, but of worlds where joy reigned, and he staked his reputation on that image. Your vision must burn even brighter. See your life as a story that future generations quote as a testament sculpted in action and sacrifice. When vision rises like a beacon, mediocrity cannot stand. It cowers in the shadows of your audacious dreams. Purpose is the drumbeat that marches you forward when excitement fades into routine. Remember Abraham Lincoln's resolve to preserve a fractured nation, a purpose so monumental it carried him through earthquakes of sorrow and crises that could have shattered a lesser spirit. Your purpose must carry equal gravity, a cause that transcends personal comfort and touches those around you. When purpose and vision intertwine, they form a cyclone of motivation that sweeps you beyond the borders of average living. Discipline is the silent architect of your extraordinary life. It is the steel frame behind the marble facade, invisible but indispensable. Carnegie did not amass his fortune through sporadic bursts of effort, but through daily habits rising before dawn, reading, saving, investing. Edison did not invent the light bulb in a single epiphany, but through thousands of experiments logged with obsessive rigor. You must adopt rituals that fortify your resolve, the consistent action that over time compounds into breakthrough. Discipline is the scaffold that keeps mediocrity from creeping back in when passion wanes. Action is the thunderclap that announces your rebellion against good enough. Plans and intentions are dust on the shelves of history unless animated by decisive movement. Henry Ford risked everything on an assembly line. Walt Disney mortgaged his home to finance a cartoon. Edison blew fuses night after night until darkness itself yielded. Your actions need not be seismic from the start, but they must be constant, courageous, and aimed straight at your goals. Each step you take cracks the ground beneath mediocrity and shifts the terrain to your favor. Gratitude is the alchemy that transforms desire into joy. It seems paradoxical to crave more, yet savor what you have. Yet gratitude reminds you that the journey is not an endless chase, but a celebration of every moment, every lesson, every heartbeat, every sunrise. Lincoln found solace in small mercies amid the Civil War. Edison celebrated each filament that glowed, no matter how faint. In gratitude, you tether your soaring ambitions to the present, harvesting lessons and energy to fuel your ascent beyond average. Adaptability is the compass that redirects your ship when storms veer you off course. The world shifts like sand under your feet. Technology evolves, markets erupt, crises arrive without warning. Edison's tenacity lay in his willingness to pivot from filament to filament. Disney's genius emerged as he expanded from shorts to parks to global franchises. You too must bend without breaking, abandoning tactics that fail and adopting new strategies that serve your grand vision. Adaptability ensures that mediocrity, rigid and inflexible, cannot hold you down. Resilience is the steely backbone that endures through every fall. Carnegie's first business collapsed in flames. Disney's studio burned in ashes. Lincoln faced heartbreak after heartbreak. Yet each man rose again, scarred but unbowed. Your resilience grows with every challenge you meet, forging a character that no setback can crush. Let every defeat be the forge that tempers your spirit until you stand bulletproof against the darts of mediocrity. Learning is the rocket fuel for your evolution. Edison cataloged failures as patents in waiting. Ford refined processes through study. Disney devoured stories to expand his imagination. You must never cease to learn from mentors, biographies, experiments, and your own mistakes. Knowledge broadens your horizons and deepens your capacity to innovate. When you learn relentlessly, mediocrity finds no purchase, for you are always reaching toward the next horizon. Feel now the surge of your inner fire, the electricity that refuses to dim, the roar that shatters complacency. This is your birthright, to live fiercely, to aim higher, to dismantle every barrier built by doubt. Speak the vow that cements your revolution. I reject mediocrity. I embrace bold vision, unwavering discipline, and fierce action. I shape my life with relentless learning, unbreakable resilience, and gratitude that fuels my ascent. In that vow, the ordinary world bows and parts, making way for your extraordinary journey and odyssey beyond average, guided by a mindset that knows no boundaries. Acting on the decision, turning thought into reality. Focus on taking bold, consistent action after making the decision, because success never comes from waiting or wishful thinking. The instant you choose, the universe leans in. In that sacred millisecond between doubt and resolve, you ignite the engine of creation. Picture yourself poised on the edge of a grand canyon. Below lies the chasm of inaction, the abyss where dreams echo unheard. Above, the opposite rim bristles with the promise of a life sculpted by your own hands. That choice to act is the fragile plank spanning the divide. Commit to it, and your world begins to shift beneath your feet. This is the crucible in which thought becomes reality. Mindset is the spark that lights the fuse. Without the unwavering conviction that you are capable of more, even the most brilliant plan withers in the soil of hesitation. Remember Edison. Every filament that failed was not evidence of weakness, but a stepping stone toward brilliance. His mind burned with the certainty that each failure taught him how not to build the bulb, refining his approach until success was inevitable. Adopt that same mindset, welcome each setback as a teacher, each hesitation as an invitation to steel your resolve. Speak to yourself, as Edison spoke to the night, I refuse to yield until I have engineered the glow. Belief is the wind that stokes the flame of your newfound mindset. Andrew Carnegie risked everything on his belief in the power of steel and the promise of industry. He prowled the mills with the hunger of a lion, convinced that wealth was not merely inherited, but forged through bold vision and relentless action. When markets crashed, when competitors sneered, his belief refused to flicker. Yours must do the same. Feed your belief with evidence. Recall the times you prevailed over doubt, relive the moments you surprised even yourself, and let those memories become the fuel that pushes you forward. For belief unaccompanied by action is merely a whisper. Belief that carries you into the arena becomes a roar that cannot be ignored. Clarity shapes the raw material of belief into a blueprint for action. Henry Ford did not wake one morning and decide to be successful. He sketched the Model T's chassis in precise lines, calculated production costs down to the penny, and envisioned the assembly line transforming raw steel into rolling freedom. That clarity gave him a road-mate beavery rivet, every conveyor belt, every worker's station plotted in his mind before the first bolt was tightened. You must carve your goal with equal precision, define not only the end result, but the steps you'll take, the obstacles you'll face, and the milestones you'll celebrate. With that clarity, you transform vague desire into an unstoppable commitment. Vision becomes your North Star when the path grows treacherous. Walt Disney saw more than cartoons she saw, entire worlds alive with color, laughter, and wonder. When fire consumed his studio, when distributors turned away, he clung to his vision of a place where dreams stood tall. He sketched blueprints for theme parks on the backs of napkins, imagining pathways lined with cotton candy and castles that touched the sky. Let your vision be equally vivid. Paint every detail, the sounds, the smells, the faces you'll uplift, the legacy that ripples through generations. When storms of uncertainty rise, that vision shines through the darkness, beckoning you onward. Purpose is the anchor that secures your engine of action. Abraham Lincoln did not draft the Emancipation Proclamation because it was popular. He did it because he was consumed by a purpose greater than himself, the preservation of liberty and the healing of a fractured nation. That purpose sustained him through assassination threats and personal tragedies that would have broken lesser men. Your purpose must resonate with the same magnitude. It must warp the gravitational field of your life so fiercely that every decision, every sacrifice, every sleepless night aligns with its pull. In purpose, action becomes not a burden, but a calling. Discipline is the rhythm that converts lofty ideals into daily deeds. Carnegie did not become the world's richest man by waiting for opportunity. He built it through routines: reading, saving, investing, reinvesting until his habits carried him toward fortune. Edison did not invent the light bulb in a single stroke of genius. He logged every experiment, every variation of filament and voltage until the victorious combination revealed itself. Craft your own rituals, the morning pages where you chart your progress, the sprints of focused work that stretch your capabilities, the evenings spent reflecting on lessons learned. Discipline bridges the gap between what you want and what you achieve. Action is the thunderbolt that shatters the silence of potential. A blueprint never built is a promise unkept. When Ford watched that first Model T roll off his assembly line, he didn't simply revel, he ordered 2 more factories. When Disney's first film premiered, he pounced on new technologies to make it talk. Action demands urgency. It transforms belief from a quiet prayer into a battlefield cry. It is the avalanche that topples mediocrity and reshapes the landscape of possibility. Do not wait for inspiration. Let action itself inspire you. Launch the blog, pitch the investor, call the mentor, make the choice to move, and watch momentum gather like a hurricane around your purpose. Gratitude is the catalyst that turns raw momentum into sustained progress. It seems counterintuitive to throttle forward with ferocious ambition, yet pause to give thanks. And yet, within gratitude lies a paradoxical power. When Edison celebrated the first filament that glowed, however faint, he reinforced his belief that success was within reach. When Lincoln thanked his soldiers amid the carnage of war, he forged bonds that sustained morale. Gratitude is the oil that keeps the gears of action from grinding to a halt. Each day, acknowledge what you have: the skills, the mentors, The lesson so your ambition remains tethered to humility and your fire refuses to burn you from the inside. Adaptability is the rudder that steers you through changing currents. The world is not static. Strategies that worked yesterday may be obsolete tomorrow. Edison shifted from carbon filaments to bamboo, from domestic power to municipal grids. Disney morphed from short cartoons to full-length features to theme parks to global franchises. You must adopt their chameleon spirit, ready to pivot at a moment's notice while holding fast to your vision. Test new methods, heed feedback, abandon what fails, and double down on what works. In adaptability, you ensure that action remains effective in every climate. Resilience is the armor that shields you from the shards of failure. Carnegie faced bankruptcy, fires, and countless rejections. Each blow could have ended his quest, yet each only cemented his resolve. Edison endured scorn and ridicule, but he wore his resilience like a second skin. Your battles will bruise you, but resilience transforms wounds into badges of honor. When the world tells you that you're done, resilience retorts, I am just beginning. In every setback, find the lesson. In every rejection, seek the spark of opportunity until resilience becomes the unbreakable spine of your action. Learning is the compass that keeps your action true. Edison studied chemistry and physics. Ford dissected processes and logistics. Disney devoured stories and artistry. Lincoln read voraciously to sharpen his rhetorical sword. You must commit to lifelong learning. Read widely. Study failures. Seek mentors. Experiment relentlessly. Knowledge ensures that your action is not random but strategic, not reactive but proactive. Each lesson learned becomes an arrow in your quiver, ready to be fired at the next obstacle. Now feel the current under your feet, the surge in your veins, the world shifting beneath the weight of your choice. You have transformed thought into a living, breathing force. The chasm of inaction has receded. The opposite shore beckons. Raise your foot, step onto the plank of decision, and cross the divide. Let mindset light the way, belief fan the flames, clarity guide your aim, vision call you forward, purpose anchor your heart, discipline set the rhythm, action break the silence, gratitude fuel the journey, adaptability steer the course, resilience armor your spirit, and learning chart every new horizon. The moment you act, you become architect and destroyer. You dismantle old limits and erect new possibilities. Your world begins to reshape itself around your motion, and the echo of your footsteps reverberates through time. Acting on the decision is not the end, but the perpetual beginning of creation. With each breath, you mold reality more closely to your design, and so you stand, not on the edge of doubt, but in the heart of possibility, carrying the torch you lit with your own resolve. This is the power of action, the alchemy that turns thought into thundering reality. Let it roar through your veins and light your every step as you forge a life unbound by yesterday, unstoppable in its unfolding, and destined to shine brighter than any star.